Hi, my name's Alex, and I'm a former gifted kid turned astrologer and remote viewing psychic. And today I want to talk about the common traits that I see in somebody's astrology chart to indicate that they may have ESP, psychic abilities, that they're a gifted kid, an old soul, a starseed, an empath, indigo, whatever you want to call it. But there's something special about these astrology charts that I always notice, and a lot of people who are gifted in these ways tend to have a lot of these traits in common. So if you've never had your natal chart read, basically what that is the exact moment that you were born. So you're gonna need your exact time of birth as well as the location and the birth date. Then you're gonna go to a website like cafeastrology.com and plug that information in and get your free natal chart. And that's gonna tell you not only your sun sign, but all of your other signs and aspects. So just in case you didn't know, you not only have a sun sign, which is what people typically identify with, but you have a moon sign, a Venus sign, a rising sign, a Jupiter sign, Saturn, Neptune, Pluto. You have a north node, you have asteroids that mean something, and then all of those planets together are sitting in different areas of the zodiac wheel. So there's 12 zodiac signs around the wheel. I've actually done a video on the archetypes, so if you want to check that out, I will link it in this video. But we've got 12 different archetypes, and all of the planets in your specific natal chart are positioned at different places along the wheel. So they're activating different points in your chart. So different parts of your psyche. And when they make different aspects, that's what either creates tension or harmony in a birth chart. So if you don't have your natal chart, go ahead to one of those free sites like cafeastrology.com or Astroseek and get your free natal chart printed out, and then follow along, because I'm going to tell you the most common traits that I see in gifted kids charts. So the first one that I see quite often is sun conjunct moon. So that means your sun and your moon are in the same sign. So what that means is that the sun, which represents consciousness, and the moon, which represents the unconscious, are in alignment. An aspect that may create a lot of tension could be an opposition between the sun and moon, because that would mean that your sun and your consciousness is at a direct opposition. So there's a lot of tension between what your conscious personality wants and feels safe with and what your unconscious personality wants and feels safe with. So in other words, a Libra sun and a Libra moon is going to be all about harmony, peace, and keeping the balance. But if those are flipped, so you have a Aries sun and a Libra moon, or a Libra sun and an Aries moon, for example, there's going to be a lot of tension there, because Libra and Aries are at odds. Aries is fiercely independent and a self-starter. Libra is also a self-starter, but Libra is all about balance and harmony. So some of the things that you're going to look at to see if you have an opposition would be Aries and Libra, Scorpio, Taurus, Gemini, Sagittarius, Cancer, Capricorn, and Leo, Aquarius, Pisces, Virgo. I think I said that all. But for gifted kids and old souls, the most common thing I see, again, was that sun conjunct the moon. So them being in harmony. Another thing I notice in a lot of gifted charts is the Mercury being in a water sign. So Mercury is how we download information, and it's how we perceive information, and it's how we communicate. So when it's in a water sign, it means that you're very perceptive, you're very empathic, and often quite sensitive and ruled by your emotions. So this is going to be a Mercury in Scorpio, Mercury in Pisces, or Mercury in Cancer. Another thing I noticed in charts is if you have Neptune or the moon or Pluto in your first chart, because Neptune, moon, and Pluto are the rulers of the water signs. And when they're in the first house of the ascendant, it means that your personality and the part of you that the world sees, and the vehicle through which you're living your life, which is the ascendant sign, that is going to be heavily colored by your lens as a water sign. Even if that Neptune is in a different planet like Capricorn, an earth sign, for example, you're going to feel the Neptune energies of it, or the Cancer of whatever, or the moon or the Pluto aspect of whatever sign is in there. So even a big one, this is a huge one I see in a ton of people, Neptune in the first house. And when you have a water sign or the ruler of a water sign in the first house, the ascendant, which is your personality and the vehicle through which you live life, you are going to be highly sensitive, and this is a blessing and a curse. So the dark side of this is that you can be prone to addiction and doing anything to fight those feelings. You could be a highly sensitive individual who sees and feels everything around you. But if you're not in touch with that and you don't realize what is yours versus what is somebody else's, and you don't have strong energetic boundaries, this is what manifests as mental illness, neurodivergence, and somebody who can mistakenly be labeled as mentally ill or neurodivergent, because it can look a lot like mania. It can look a lot like depression. It can look a lot like these unhealthy mental programs that we're running if it's not properly understood. Now, a water sign in these places that is understood and is held by somebody who has strong energetic boundaries, and you're good at discerning what is yours versus what is somebody else's, you are a very powerful psychic. So, and you're a clairsentient most likely, which means you feel the emotions of other people. You can walk into the room and taste or understand the emotional environment of that room. And you're just very good at mirroring people too and understanding the emotions that they're going through. And then you also might have downloads from your sensitivities or your gut feelings about something that would tell you what somebody else is going through. So I did skip over Mercury and air signs, but that is also something that could indicate that you're a person that receives those higher consciousness downloads. So a Mercury and Aquarius, especially because Aquarius is the higher mind, and that's often associated with ETs and technology. And then also Neptune, I already mentioned the water signs, but Mercury and Neptune could also be somebody who has high downloads, so to speak. But even air signs like Libra and Gemini. Gemini is the lower mind, but it is very good at retaining information, right? And Libra is really good with reading people and kind of bringing people into balance and harmony. Whew, guys, it is hot in here, and I don't want to have like a sweat mustache while I'm doing this. Okay, so excuse me if I wet my face a little bit. But let's move on to the next sign. I also see a lot of gifted people who have activated 8th houses and 12th house placements. 12th house placements are a big one because the 12th house is our unconscious. This is the dream state, the astral world, unconscious, subconscious. It's also where we have vivid dreams and intuition and inspiration, and where we're highly creative. So again, with the blessing and the curse, the 12th house is also where we hold our belief systems. So again, if somebody is not very, if you're not a very self-aware person and you have a tendency to play the victim, which can also be common traits, especially if you have a lot of Pisces in your chart, because Pisces is the martyr. What tends to happen on the life path of a lot of these people is that you may spend a lot of your life feeling like the victim, but until and unless you start to claim radical responsibility for your experience and you understand that you're attracting this, or your soul signed up for this on some level, because if you are Pisces, you're the last sign of the zodiac, which means you've accumulated all 12 incarnations of karma. So you're highly psychic if you have Pisces anywhere in your chart, first of all. But once you stop playing the victim, if you have the Pisces or especially the Cancer too, and the Scorpio, I mean, every zodiac sign is going to have a tendency to play the victim, but with the water signs, it can be even more, because Cancer, whose feelings are hurt, they call it the crab because you have a shell, and they're very sensitive when their emotions are hurt. And when Scorpio is very hard to trust people. So Scorpio has this stinger. So if you betray a Scorpio, then better watch out. And then Pisces is the fish. But Pisces is also, again, the last sign of the zodiac, and the last sign of the zodiac has been through all 12 incarnations. So Pisces has accumulated a lot of karma along the way. So for anyone who has strong Pisces placements, this lifetime is about a lot of karma for you. But once it's almost like when you sign up for a lifetime, especially if you have a lot of strong, heavy water placements, like strong 8th house placements, water stellium anywhere in your chart. A stellium in astrology is when you have like 4 or 5 planets or more in the same sign, and then you're going to want to look to the house that is in. So somebody with a 5 planet stellium in Capricorn, for example, they've got 5 planets in Capricorn, or they either have 5 planets in Capricorn in a certain house, so maybe it's in their second house, so they're going to be extremely focused on finances because that's what the second house rules and our value. Or maybe they have 5 planets in Libra, but they all fall in the 10th house. So that means that person is going to bring those Libra traits to business and how they put themselves out there to the world, because Capricorn, the 10th house, is the midheaven, which is the place in your chart that is the highest, which means it's your mission on earth and also the part that the public sees. So, excuse me, it's hot. So anyways, if you have a lot of planets there, there's a lot of activity there and a lot of focus in your lifetime. So a lot of old souls signed up to experience a lot of karma in one area of their life because that's what they're working for in this lifetime. So they may, be signing up for fame. They may be signing up for management of money. They may be signing up to be a caretaker in this lifetime. Maybe they want to be fiercely independent and they've chosen a lot of Aries placements or a self-starter or a leader. I'm so sorry about this stuff in the background. I hope that you can't hear those mowers. And I hope it's not messing up this video, but I don't want to stop because I'm into it, guys. So the other traits that I want to talk about, so not only the 8th house being active because it's ruled by Scorpio. Hold on, we've covered sun, moon conjunct. We've covered water sign placements in general, pretty much anywhere in your chart, but the most psychic positions are probably going to be Mercury because that's how you download information and how you communicate and how you feel. And also your sun or rising in a water sign, or if you have the ruler of a water sign in the first house. So Pluto in something, Cancer in some, or moon in something, and what's the third water sign? Neptune, moon, and Pluto in a sign. Pluto and Scorpio, for example, in your first house. So those are all, again, going to give you a very psychic edge or psychic gifts in this world. All right, and then we've looked at Steeliums, which is concentrated amount of energy in the chart. So especially gifted or psychic if you have a water Steelium, or if it's in the 4th, 8th, or 12th house, because those are your water signs that are going to be activated. 12th house, again, being very active. And the degree points. The degree points, especially in the sun or the ascendant, if they are at 29 degrees, I've noticed that a ton of old souls either have somewhere close to 0 or 29 degrees. If you're at 0, you're at the very start of a sign and you're like the most, pure version of that sign. But if you're at 29 degrees, you're at the last point of that sign. So your lifetime could also be filled with karmic lessons, endings, but also mastery and opportunity for mastery. So I'll use myself as an example. I have 28 degrees in my sun sign and my moon sign, and then 29 degrees in my rising sign. So what my life looked like in the beginning was a lot of hardship, a lot of emotional hardship. I have a lot of water energy in my sign, in my chart too. And that water energy, I know from experience, is a curse when you don't know how to use it, when you're not in control of it. And it is an absolute blessing once you are able to take the reins and you know how to use it and you know the purpose of these gifts and what you're here to teach. One of the ones I struggled with the most was Neptune in the first house. So if you've got Neptune in your first house, like I do, you can be easily prone to addiction, and you are meant to walk a more artistic path or to tap into your psychic gifts. And until you get in alignment with your natal chart, you're probably going to suffer and struggle with addiction and trying to numb that pain, because part of what we seek when we have addictions in life is we're seeking something bigger than ourselves. We're seeking to feel a part of something and a connection to something, because your soul remembers the imprint of being one with source energy. So once you are able to tap into that in the physical, you can free yourself from addiction. I'm trying to think if I have anything else on my list. Those are the main ones I want to cover, is all the water placements and the different houses that would be activated with those water placements. The 29th degree point being an area of mastery, that you're coming here to be a teacher. If you have spirit asteroid, especially if it's in the late degree points of a sign, so 27, 28, 29 degrees is your spirit asteroid, that is another point and a marker of a very old soul. And if your ascendant is a water sign too. So Pisces, or your sun or ascendant, can also be very psychic places. So Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio, and then another big one that a lot of people, oh, I'm sorry, two major things I almost forgot about. The cusp. If you're born on the cusp of a sign, that's a huge one. Libra, Scorpio. So here's the cusp. Aries, Taurus, Taurus, Gemini, Gemini, Cancer, Cancer, Leo, Leo, Virgo, Virgo, Libra, Libra, Scorpio, Scorpio, Sagittarius, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Capricorn, Aquarius, Aquarius, Pisces, or Pisces, Aries. And the ones who are extremely psychic, in my experience of all the charts I've read and all the people I've met, are the air water cusps, because the water is going to bring a very emotional lens to how you view the world, how you experience the world, and how you feel stuff. And that air energy is going to be the higher frequency downloads coming in, the ideas. So if you've got water, and depending on the elements that you're on the cusp of, that's also going to color your experience and kind of like give you a hint as to what type of healer or teacher you might be. So if we are looking at Aries, Pisces, for example, that could be somebody who is extremely intuitive, and maybe they're meant to do psychic readings or some kind of healing work, but they're also Aries. So maybe this is going to be with the body or in some kind of competitive field, because Aries is also like the warrior. Maybe they're going to be fighting the system. Maybe something about spiritual warfare is heavy in their path. If you've got something like, let's say, Scorpio and Sagittarius. Scorpio is very perceptive and very intuitive and occult. Sagittarius is the teacher, higher education, religion. You might have a big purpose that involves something with rewriting religious belief systems, or maybe you're very involved in some kind of religious organization in some way, shape, or form. But also something with power and control, because that's what Scorpio is. Another fun one is Aquarius, Pisces. I've met a lot of people with Aquarius, Pisces, and they're very inventive and very creative, very otherworldly, almost like they're 10 years ahead of their time. And then they've got all the creative energy and perceptive energy of a Pisces. So that's a really strong psychic placement, is Aquarius, Pisces, cusp. And then there was one more thing. What was the last thing, guys? The cusps, and okay, I forgot it. If it comes back to me, I will make another video about it. But I'm sure there's more sites. There's more signs too. So if you feel like I missed anything and you feel like you have a very psychic placement, definitely leave it in the comments and let people know that if they have this aspect in their birth chart, then that is definitely an indication of psychic abilities. So please, of course, let me know if I missed anything. And also, if you have any questions, go ahead and let me know. And if all of this is gibberish to you and you don't understand a lot of this astrology lingo, please reach out to me on Instagram or TikTok and book a private reading with me. I have readings in different budget points because I want this information to be accessible to everyone. And you can also find my book a reading section in my description. You can either download my free guide for gate kids and gifted and neurodivergent souls, and I'll send you a list of my reading options, or you can go to my Linktree Statements by Alex. So I hope this video was helpful, and I'll see you guys in the next one.